Hello and welcome to Workflow. So in this lab, we are going to look at some standard workflows. So the goal is to if you have to customize a workflow, um, where do you download it from? And you know the idea is not to not to get overwhelmed by the complexity of workflow, but I want you to take a look at it just to get a feel of how the complex workflow is. I may not be able to take you through how each workflow is tied to a particular application because those things you can easily find from the user guide or the installation guide for each module. So this would be, those things you can easily figure it out. Um, so we would just go through, we'll take a quickly look at a couple of workflows, how do you download it, and we'll see how it works. So let's go ahead and do one by one. So, our objective is to review some standard workflows. Make sure you install it. Whatever workflows that I download, I've put it in a zip file, so you can take a look at it and be comfortable with playing with it. It's a matter of getting a hands-on the workflow. So we will connect to the database. So I'm going to connect to the database. I'll enter apps at instance, followed by the followed by the port ID and slash the database name. Click OK. So you will get a screen something like this. Go ahead and select the workflow that you want to select and click just highlight it and click this button. So it's going to bring the workflow to your side. You can bring many workflows as you want. Click OK at the end. So then you can see that your workflow is there. Then you go ahead and save as a local file. You can save it as a local file. So now the workflow is in your local machine. Let's go ahead and look at the workflow. So I have the workflow that I downloaded. So if you look at it, I mean this is a simple workflow AP invoice. So we have so most likely this would be the if you look at this workflow, let's go ahead and right click in properties. So it's runnable. If you look at this one, it's also runnable, which means that I can execute this from anywhere. So you can take a look at the properties and see what are the things it does. Let's go ahead and double click. So you can see that it does a few things. It's executing a package that's going to return yes or no. So if you see it's using yes no, then if it's no, it's going to look at this. It execute this package, and it's going to do the approve. Then it's going to send the notification. It's going to do some process. If you look at the timeout, let's see. There's a timeout node here. So it says 1 day is a relative time. And if it's timeout, it's going to send a reminder, and there is a timeout for 1 day, and they can either approve or reject. If it's timeout, it's going to escalate as approval. It's going to do escalate request, and it's going to. I think it goes to their manager, and finally, if it times out, it gets rejected. So it's a simple workflow, but I definitely would like you to download some of these just to get a feel of how these workflows are. So I've downloaded another workflow too. Let's go and open that workflow also. You click close, store. So in this case, I have two workflows. So I'm just going to expand this the main process. So let's go ahead and look at the property. So this is not runnable. This is not runnable. This is not runnable. So this has to be the right one. Properties. So there's no result type. So end and end. So it execute a function first and execute a process. And it's going to use a document type here. So you can see here PL SQL document. Let's go ahead and find the message. Message is contract approved aborted. Let's go ahead and look at the message. From notification, let's go to messages. Contract, what was that? Contract approval aborted. Contract approval aborted. So let's look at it. It's a message one. So if you look at it, there's the message one here somewhere. I don't see the message one, but it should be fine. Let's go and look at the message one. That's the message one. There's no function that's defined, so I'm not sure how they're going to get the value. Um, but when you look at a standard package, there's a lot of things it does. Maybe there's another dynamic package that's been used to build this. So similarly, you can see the other workflows. I mean, you can look at the next step. You can basically follow this. These are good workflows to take a look at it, just to get familiarized with it. Let's go ahead and open another workflow. So you may look at it, if you look at it the first time, you may think it's overwhelming, but just follow it one by one. So if you look at here, is it internal? No. Get supplier contract. Then if the supplier has, if it's going to get a contract, there's no result. Then it's going to notify if there's nothing. So basically, here is a condition of or. So it should, whichever comes first will continue. It's not like and would wait for all these to come. If not, it'll just stop there. So I mean, you can take a look at it, just to get a good feel about it. So you can see they're using another OR here, so which means that it's going to execute. It's going to go to the next step, even if one of the process finish. So it's a good hands-on. So you can download this and get a good feel about it. So the next topic is to restart workflow. So restart workflow is required, especially when you customize the standard workflow and if you add a custom package, because once you upload the workflow, um, the old workflow is still in the cache, so you may have to stop and start the workflow. So in order to do that, you log into application, Oracle, log into eBusiness. Usually it's log in as system admin or an administrator with system application administrator. Navigate to workflow administrator, Oracle application manager, workflow manager, service components, or you can log in as system administrator, workflow application manager. So so go to system administrator, application manager, go to workflow. So you can see it'll bring up this page, it'll tell you the health of the system. So go down, so you would see service components, click on it. So now you can see that there are a bunch of applications that are running. So you go ahead, there's an action button, drop down, select stop first, click go. First you stop all these tasks, then go to functional administrator, clear the cache, then come back and do start again. You just come back to the same process, click on start and go. You go start from the top to the bottom. So that's how you restart a workflow. So in the attached zip file, you would see a file called workflow.sql. It'll give you some SQLs, some SQLs here. Here's how you can start the workflow. Here are some commands that you can start the workflow. Your Toad or whatever. So these are the commands that you can use. You would create the process. You set the attribute text. If it's a text attribute, if it's not, if it's a data attribute, you set the attribute text. And finally, you start the process. These are the functions that are used. These are the commands that are used to start the workflow. I've also included a bunch of SQL statements and tables which will help you to get started on the workflow table. I also have a sample procedure that you can use to build trigger the workflow. So I have another workflow, another package which you can use to trigger the workflow, launch a workflow. I just want you to take a look at it and get familiarized with it. So basically ultimately, regardless of whatever it is, it's first thing is setting the setting the attributes, and triggering the workflow. You can start the process at the end. So the concept is the same. The complexity may be high, but the process is the same regardless of what kind of workflow you're working on. So that concludes the workflow. Pretty much that's about the workflow. Pretty much we have covered how do you create a workflow to look at a sample workflow, and how to trigger a workflow. So hopefully this helps you get started on your workflow project, assignment next time. If you have any questions, feel free to reach me through the chat box at the bottom. I will try to answer you at the earliest. Thank you, and look forward to seeing you later. Thank you.